Hey, Soul Speed here. Today was the live stream 25, and it was for update 13. Yeah, so I figured I would make a highlight video and kind of cut things down to the main points, get all the good stuff that you want to hear without, it dragging on too long. Because not everyone has time to watch a whole hour and a half video. So, yeah, since the main stream was about an hour, try to make it as narrow, bring it down as much as possible, about 25 minutes or so. But there is a chunk of important information missing, for good reason. Steve went on for about 10 or 15 minutes just showing a whole slideshow of pictures he took around the office, kind of just sneaking over some devs' shoulders and taking pictures of what they were working on. So there's a lot of great info there, a lot of things are revealed there, and there's a lot to analyze. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a video analyzing all that stuff. But that'll be separate. I didn't want to include it here. It was just like make it drag on for a whole nother like 10-15 minutes, way longer than it already is. So there'll be another video for that. So you'll get to see that soon. If you want to see those pictures now, you can probably check on the forums. Pretty sure it's there. Or you can wait for the video that's coming up. Try and get it out as soon as possible. But besides that, generally most of the information is here. So without further ado, carry on, and I hope you enjoy the info.
That was awesome. Yeah. Welcome to Devstream 25, where we have a cinematic intro.
Voice Prize is going to introduce the Queens.
That's a better answer.
Is that more substantial?
I got ripped off.
Is that more substantial?
You can have a prize.
That's good.
Anatolius, how do you feel about new player experience? Many new players have struggled with getting past Earth due to the interception missions, and many have had a hard time collecting the mods they require in order to advance. Serration, Hornet Strike, etc.
Interception. Phil works on interception. I'm not throwing him under the bus, but in the last event, I was playing a lot, and I noticed it was very slow, and I went to his desk, or he came to my desk, and I was ranting at him to make it harder, make it harder, make it harder. And he might have went a little too far.
Oh, so it's your fault.
No.
Stop blame. This isn't a blame game.
Yeah. My fault. I'm fine.
Separate YouTube.
As far as required mods, I guess mods that we think that are required, I think we're doing a better job of moving those onto common enemies to make sure that players get the most kind of cracks in getting those mods. So we're constantly kind of reviewing those drops. Potentially as maybe Horus Prize gets finished, and that's the first kind of mission we're going to call them. Some of those other mods might become mods you get as part of that progression.
Well, I mean, that mission type, what I think was cool about that is that we were kind of hearing a few of those complaints. We were like, okay, this is too hard for new players. How are they doing in interception? And what was neat was, we're kind of all on a Skype chat at work. We're always talking. And Rebecca was kind of telling us all that was happening. So she's like, I'm just going to jump into a match and try to, gimp myself to a new player and see what that's like. Yeah. And what was cool was I got to jump into the match with you.
I had no idea it was you.
Yeah, which was cool. I was using my alias.
Secret
guy.
My secret dude.
And we jumped in there, and we were both kind of playing with a self-gimped loadout to try that.
Something that would be equal to what you would get if you were a new player and Earth. You would played linearly to Earth, to Eurasia at that point, where interception starts.
And that was some of the most badass fun I've had in months. It was so awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that new players are getting that super intense experience. And I think, what we took away from that was how could we bring that type of experience to our vet players as well.
Exactly.
I think I saw someone in chat while you guys were talking when I was trying to tune out what you were saying.
Aggression. Extreme.
It's going to be like that, eh?
That
Joseph in his Technicolor cat coat?
That the early game is too hard and the late game is too easy. So I think that's just the fact that there's so much scaling and progression in Warframe that it just gets so powerful. So we just need to keep working on that, and that's the longest answer to that question ever.
As always, the new melee system is a buzz topic. What details can we share in this stream as we near its completion? What about the system as a whole are you most proud of?
You're most proud of?
I think the coolest thing as it progresses for me is
I find I want to draw my sword, and I find even in a crowd of guys, as we work on the system and as we add features to it, it feels like it is becoming like a viable thing. You know, I always keep screaming at you guys to make sure that the game supports the need to do it, and I think, you know, some of the ideas that we have and are starting to execute on are starting to feel like, when that guy comes at me, I really want to pull my sword and I actually want to engage him in that way.
Yep.
So I think some of the stuff is starting to bubble to the surface as it starts to finalize, but it's going to be like right at the last moment it comes to a boil, and then out the door.
Out the door goes.
And even just in the last week, like I don't want to. I apologize in advance if this sounds vague, because I don't want to be vague to the users, but we had a pretty good talk like at around 9:30 Wednesday night, and just some ideas to make it feel. We're trying to work in ideas to make it feel a bit more exclusive to Warframe, so it feels a bit different in the Warframe universe than just a broad melee game, like combat game. So, and we're trying to,
and it really seems to kind of come together in the end, because all
definitely.
the animation team goes off and just makes so much content, and we're trying to assemble it and make sense of it.
Yeah.
But Wednesday night was kind of like, oh, it's sort of like Devil May Cry right now.
Yeah, and it didn't feel right.
No,
it didn't. Like,
just in terms of what it brought to the
Warframe.
experience. Okay, so
it didn't feel Warframey. Yeah.
It felt like a good game, but not Warframe.
Yeah.
right, so you have this kind of more sophisticated melee system. It's good at killing your enemies, but it doesn't do anything for the Tenno, something you guys have tried to embrace in everything.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad Jeff brought up, because we can't even talk about it yet.
I know.
That's the only problem. That's the only problem.
I can talk about a few things. Like this is like the amazing design document.
Oh God,
Let's see coder art.
that's coder art.
This is coder
No,
art.
that's literally designer.
No, this is actually and like this is how
Don't get too
complicated
close to
it
it.
was,
You don't want to get
and
too
then
close.
this is how complicated it is now. You don't actually want to get close. To it.
Yeah,
That's fine.
There's gonna be so many breakdowns of that image.
What does it mean? But we really went to a really complicated place.
Yeah.
And then we said, oh, let's cut the complexity in half.
Yep.
And then we cut the complexity in half again.
Right. So what was the most complex goal you had with this system, and what about this third iteration that you guys are still working on is less complex?
I think we just ended up going too deep down the well of combo length. Like we put too much focus on that over utility.
Right, because you can't forget
I
that the enemy's your fate.
Listen to this guy.
No, I think that's a really good answer. I think that's a really good answer.
You talk about procking. Yeah.
Because you can't forget the pace of this game is like if you're so.
And that had a big part of it. For sure.
Okay.
Totally.
Trying to figure out what makes a player draw their sword and attack a guy versus shooting him in the head from 50 yards.
Time to kill enemy is low, so it has to be very useful.
Yes.
So,
You know, as part of this, like we said before,
literally
guys.
keeping us up at night.
I know. No, I know. It is the
So the things I have just a few notes, which are I think the name for the next update, which is Melee is the big part of it. We're going to call update 13 the Sword Alone. We are only mentioning that because we just don't have much else to reveal yet about it. There is a new mod slot that is going into melee weapons.
Okay.
Like the Aura slot was in the Warframe.
Okay.
This is a new slot exclusive for a mod type called a stance mod. And these are aspirational goals. These are not promises, but what we're targeting right now is that I have one example for the one-handed sword. There will be 2 stance mods that will come out with it in update 13. And one is the Iron Phoenix, which is the slower stance for it, which has a lot of staggering hits and a slashing emphasis and slashing proc combos. And then the other stance for the one-hand sword is the Crimson Dervish, which has a lot of fast hits, a lot of puncture procs, and a few staggering combos.
wow.
So we had gone from that complexity of breaking up every little animation into parts and having players assemble them, but without the utility and without adding 300 mods and really diluting the pool a lot worse than it already is. We're going to have that kind of stance slot, and we're going to have embody all of those into one idea.
Yeah.
And then if you get a one-hand sword and you get the dervish stance, you could then take that and put it on your other sword that you really like, and you want to see what is it like to play with that. those have combo chains and things in them that are unlocked through fusion.
Gotcha.
So you level up that stance, and now there are deeper combos in it, which gives you a bit of progressive disclosure on how to battle it. Will it show you in the UI how that works? Yes. Yes, that is also
that's another thing.
Right, because of course.
That's really, I mean, there's the Warframe specific thing, which has a way, what we've been talking about is a way of turning your energy and channeling it through the melee weapon that we think is going to be very Warframey.
So you are talking about it.
Yeah, wow.
But I'm not going to get into specifics until that's totally proven, because it's still kind of on shaky ground.
Yes.
Yeah.
But shaky good Warframe ground.
Shaky good. It felt more distinct.
It definitely did.
Than just
Did.
well, now we have.
It was like I think I told, like, I woke up and like at 4 in the morning, like when we talked about that that day, just because it was kind of stressful to think about. Do we make this change now? You know, or do we stay on the course? But it definitely felt right.
So it literally is Melee 8.0.
Yeah.
It's gone through a lot of iterations.
We should track the emails and then eventually say that. Here is.
I feel so bad for Jacques because it looks like someone stole his puppy.
I know.
He's just like, okay, here's another email, Jacques. Change this again.
He's doing the Charlie Brown walk. For sure.
Anyways, but he's a trooper, and he's gonna rock it. And then what's going with it? And we were looking at this morning. That the way the staggers and that sort of thing happens is going to be fantastic and let you stun lock enemies a little bit more, so that you can get in and do some crowd control. Without that, it really eliminates.
So you understand that, like, the attack you're making is a staggering attack, and that stagger will always
Is that
go off.
so? Wait.
And there's a lot of staggering in it for the lower level enemies,
right?
So that it's not just simpler just to pull out your Soma and blast them, right? Perfect.
Someone in chat is saying, are we still getting timed combos? Please don't step away from that.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. So the time, that's in the stances. The stances are those timed combos that are kind of within there. That's just the stance. The Crimson Dervish is just kind of that kind of.
You said one was fast, one was slow.
Yeah, and that's the container within Crimson Dervish. There are timed combos.
We did bring some content.
Crimson Dervish.
Oh, do we have some combos?
Embodies all the slide.
Oh, we have videos to show with this?
Yeah, we have a couple, like, just for more weapon grips to kind of show.
Oh, someone asked, can we switch to be left or right hand dominant with their grips? But I assume that's not
Not for Melee 8.0.
Maybe Melee 20.
That's just a mirror. Come on, guys.
Just a mirror.
It's just a mirror.
You can't just mirror in the engine.
Just mirror it. Yeah, it's fine.
Hey, Jacques, we need to add mirroring.
So
sound of gunshot.
So these are more combos.
Yeah. So these are some of the time combos. Like, so this is the bow staff.
Fantastic.
Now where's the other? Where's the full arm one?
Here's some daggers.
Okay, so pole arms, dagger. So we just showed pole arms. Now we have daggers.
Bow staff.
Yeah. So lots of multi-hits.
Sorry, bow staff. My mistake.
Oh man.
I can't wait. My Ash is looking for this so
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to look so good on Ash.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, man.
And then next one. So here's our heavy axe.
So do you have names for these particular stances and what's happening right now? Is this tied into...
We're only talking about longsword stances right now.
Okay.
Branch combo A3.
That's what, Those are the file names.
That's the
this is the branch combo.
A3.
We should do that as an
inspired name.
Excellent. Wow.
Super awesome.
You only got... Warren let us down. There was 4.
What was the 4?
It was the pole arm.
Oh, you should act it out.
Warren's going to Charlie Brown.
You totally use this as an excuse to do some moves on the stream.
Yeah.
You did. So what? So right now, the only stealth, quote unquote, melee attack is E stealth attack, which doesn't necessarily always kill them. We talk about this all the time.
Once Melee 2 goes out, some things will solidify for the stealth attacks, and then from there we can build on that.
But the reason they don't instant kill all enemies is because of the level variation.
Perhaps more mission types, please. The community has so many ideas. Parkour, stealth, ninja aspect of the game needs some fleshing out. What kind of mission types are coming?
Last event previewed a new mission type, which was hijack. You alluded to the survey, which basically showed that rescue is the most hated thing ever created by Warframe.
Are you sure you made light traps? So you told me.
Go ahead. Yes, rescue got is getting a big revamp. Some of it snuck out where you can give your rescue target your secondary weapon. So that is part of a bigger change, and the new rescue mission actually requires stealth, and it's still in prototype phase and still being worked on, but I've played it a few times, and it's pretty rad that you have to work your way through a tile in the game and make sure that you don't trigger it off, or else the rescue target gets executed. So basically that's the kind of what we're working on for rescue. So it actually really brings the stealth element in and requires you to use it in order to play that type. And then obviously all the shit hits the fan and you get your target out, you can give them their weapon, and off you go. But
I see a repeating question about Valkyr.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
going to address that as well.
Yes. You said no, and now it's...
She won't be affected when the new Melee update goes live,
Yep.
but
it will make sense to revisit.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Sonic Boom asks, there's some non-rare mods that are disproportionately difficult to obtain because they're dropped by enemies with low spawn rates. On the other hand, there's players getting amassed as hundreds of other mods, even rares, from enemies with common drops. We talked about this earlier. You said we put the necessary mods on enemies that spawn more so players can get them.
yes.
That's totally fine. But what about the Warframe ability mods in this mix?
Yeah, I think it was the Warframe mods were removed because fusion level. You and I both thought that players would like to have multiple versions of certain powers at different levels.
Underclock.
Because
Yep.
you can't underclock
That's exactly what it
fused
is.
mod.
Very good. So that's why
That was the reason.
Yep. So as the code grows, and if we added that feature or a way of doing that, then that would be something we could do to solve some of the dilution problems.
What are the Warframes? We have mixed signals when it comes to the origin and nature of the frames.
There's a tease in one of the lore entries.
There is.
Yep. There's some
We
pretty
like that
cool
too.
lore coming next week. There's some pretty cool lore coming next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
Next week?
Some origin lore.
I would say I think the answer to that question is we are intentionally not answering that question directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it is something that we are, there's two parts, which is to drag out the answering of that question, sadly, for as long as we can, but in some ways I don't think a on-the-nose answer will ever be satisfactory. And I think part of the reason why I like that this game can be played in multiple cultures, and people with multiple skin colors, and male and female and other can play it, because we don't really pigeonhole you into very specific things.
Yep.
But the Tenno are, at least at one point, we're people, and there is some hints of that in the lore.
Certainly.
And the Warframes are something that go over top of them. And when we bring Focus in as part of our in-game content this year, you're going to be seeing abilities and things of improving that are not just tied to a specific Warframe like Valkyr or Ember and that sort of thing. Yep. So I hate to be evasive, but that is something that we're kind of gradually unveiling.
That's a good answer. There were a few questions about the community-made melee weapons that won, and I know...
Yes, I got a lot in chat as well.
I talked to Carrie.
When are they coming? When are they coming?
Carrie basically said Melee 2.0 first, and then he'll get the pipeline on those beyond the modeling stages.
Yeah.
He's blaming you?
Well, I told him to hold off because
Some of them
we kind of had to hold off just because they require they're new stances.
Yep.
So they need new animation sets.
Awesome.
Yep.
So they're not just getting a model
They're
treatment,
not
they're
just
getting an
models,
animation
they're getting like an
treatment as
animation.
well.
That's
treatment.
awesome.
Yeah,
Full
Tonfa,
Yeah.
Sword and Board.
Yeah. So just the amount of content we already had to do with the Melee update, we couldn't fit that.
This is the part where Steve showed all the pictures and stuff, and like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm making a video on this, so I'm going to skip this part for now, but there'll be a video on that later. I'll try and put a link in the description of like a forum post that shows the pictures and stuff if you want to check that out. So yeah, moving on.
It's development for you.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that's The Office an hour ago. As of now, the Badlands stuff you showed, we do have a lot of questions about that. Specifically, Starside Destiny says, could you reiterate the scope and purpose of Badlands? Answers such as, where are the Badlands? What enemies appear there? What's the incentive to go out there?
Yep.
And what's the incentive for endgame players and average players?
Yeah. So the incentive is to add a little bit of EVE Online into Warframe, which I think is what a lot of the veteran players who know about the system have called it. But the idea is there are these locations in the map, in the solar chart, that haven't been opened yet, and the clans can build a solar rail to basically, it's like building a road there.
Right.
Those nodes, those maps will have better resources, rare resources, higher level enemies. They might even have enemy types that are difficult to find right now. But when you play them, you pay a tax to the clan as who settled the node, who created the solar rail there.
Right.
If other clans don't like this and they want to control that area of space, they can build their own tower and challenge that area. So it is really, at a meta level, it is territory control for Warframe clans and alliances. If you're in a very small clan and you like that size of a clan, you can form an alliance with other small clans and still challenge those big moon clans. So the alliance system is also a big part, finishing the alliances and improving that and getting the chat channels in there and getting all the systems for coming and going from alliances. That's a big part of the Badlands as well that is being developed. When you play on that node in the contested state, right now it is like, because those towers are Orkin in
right.
kind of technology, it's like playing an Orkin mission, right, against
right.
the corrupted enemies.
Right. As
time goes on, and if people really love Badlands, the end game, the end point for that is that the clans build a tower, choose its defenses, build it, select where things go. Maybe they're using proxy wars and building up favor with the Grineer to ask for reinforcements
right.
from the G3. Who knows?
Right.
So that's
summon the G3 to
yeah,
help you.
exactly.
Oh my God.
Yes, absolutely. Or you've done quests for the Corpus, so now the Harvester's going to come in and help you. So
buff him first.
So it's a territorial control on the fringes of the Star Channel. Star Trek.
Edge of the galaxy. The edge of the galaxy lies the Badlands.
Yes.
So you're narrating the.
Do you have anything to add?
So the way the alliances are going to work, I saw a question right before the plat went out, which is, won't an alliance of 2 moon clans be OP? And the answer is yes, that will be very powerful, but the alliance limit will be based on total population. So you could have dozens and dozens of ghost clans, or you could have just a few moon clans. So it'll be, we're going to try to control it that way.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
Well, that works.
Yep.
Makes sense. All right, so that's Badlands cover. We did have a few questions about that. Did you have anything to add on Focus right now? Raw Grits is asking about it. Or
it is progressing, but all lasers are on. We're focusing on melee, not on Focus right now. But
I can mocap if you want.
You totally good. Yeah.
What can I say about Focus? I think Focus is going to be cool because it comes with lore.
Right.
Focus reveals the intent and the origin of those silly little symbols that we have on the mod cards.
Right.
They reveal the original Tenno orders and where they come from. So hopefully people will really, even solo or even early game players will be interested in that from a lore perspective. That's all I have to say.
The login dioramas, the fan ones?
Yes. Is Sardis asking about those?
Someone asked
Oh,
about
yeah,
them.
cool.
Rebecca had a really good idea to
What?
put them into the fan art section of the codex.
Oh, okay.
Because we don't do the Lodex anymore. The Lodex.
We don't do that.
Login diagrams.
We should call it the Lodex.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a cool place to put them, is in the fan art section. Of the
Nice.
So I
Full-
think probably
fully
again after the next big update,
Yep.
we'll get people back on those.
Yep.
Hotness.
There definitely are some. I know that there's a lot of work done on some of them, right?
They were started.
Yep.
Yeah,
Great.
they
Yep.
definitely started.
Yep.
Yep.
Very good. One topic, Archwizard asks, what about stat separation from early cosmetic helmets?
We aren't supporting stats on helmets anymore, so I think the plan is to basically retire those helmets.
Yeah, there's a new
and
helmet.
if you own them, congratulations, welcome to beta. You were here early, you got them. We'll reissue the same helmets again with the same visuals, but statless. And then we'll also, at the same time, for players that do own them already, issue a blueprint that allows you to convert it to a statless version if you so choose to.
Right.
Alt helmets on prime versions of those Warframes, and allowing that. Mickey has said I think on record, passing Pablo Will to the washroom, that
Primes are...
he didn't want the prime primes to have the alt helmets of the Warframes. The problem is visual cohesion of the prime Warframe and making sure that those art assets actually work. Most likely, if I had to guess, we're probably going to allow that going forward. We'll just have to fix up the art as it goes. You know, Mickey's going to stab me when I go back to my desk. So,
are Kubros going to replace Sentinels, or are you going to have a Sentinel and a pet? Like that slot either is Kubro. That is pet slot.
Yes.
So we already have something planned for an additional tab on that screen anyway. So we better be careful if we add too many.
Do you have something in your eye right now?
Yep.
It's Cat. PS4 CJ Dam says, will PS4 players be getting broken lights? Please don't do this to us.
Damn,
No.
CJ, we want them to suffer as much as the PC players have suffered. That was my most favorite feature to ever implement.
And do people in chat want to know about the new Warframe?
That is
I just want to know. If they don't, it's cool.
They already said it. They already know what it is. When you showed that tease, they guessed the elemental component.
What was it?
Which is made up of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen.
So you're going to get in trouble for just confirming
so
this.
you're...
Oh, so this is Rebecca. I didn't say anything. None of us said anything. Thanks a lot, Rebecca. Thanks for spoiling. Thanks for spoiling the Warframe.
This is my blood rising to the surface.
We never said anything.
Water kind of is underselling the idea.
Water, it's a mixed theme. Yeah,
Well,
it's a mixed theme. It's a mixed theme.
they voted for
We
it.
like mixed themes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what happens on water? That's
I guess-
that's the next question.
Yeah, what does happen on water?
Jet skiing.
Stop it. Now you're
Boating.
Stop. I'm honest. I'm upset. You've upset myself. I've upset.
Boat combat.
So
What happens with boat combat?
It's really hot.
So that's basically it. I do think you're missing out if you're not actually watching the entire live stream. It's pretty entertaining in general, it's normally pretty funny. There's lots of jokes that you missed out if you just watch this. But I mean, if you just want the main info right off the bat, then yeah, this pretty much covers mostly everything, I believe. So, except for the part I'm going to make in a separate video, which will hopefully be soon. But yeah, that's basically it. See you around.